Hey everyone, so today I am here with a video that has been highly requested since I did the first one of these videos, and I did this video almost 2 years ago, and that was my top 10 shows to watch on Netflix. If you haven't seen that video, I will have it right up here for you guys. Definitely check that out. But ever since I put that video out, I feel like I get at least 4 to 5 tweets or messages or comments of every week basically telling me to do a second one of those. And now, almost 2 years later, I feel like I have watched enough shows and have a good new top 10 shows to watch on Netflix. So I guess this could be a new one for 2017. It could be a part 2 because I still stand by the first top 10 shows. Still some good ones there, but I have watched enough Netflix now that I have another list. So I'm pretty excited about it. I sort of have them kind of categorized, so hopefully that makes things a little bit easier on me. And just so you guys know, I have like a laundry list of TV shows that I need to watch. I literally have so many shows that I absolutely need to watch on Netflix. So I'm sure if you recommend me a show, it's like already on my list because there are so many things that I definitely need to watch because Netflix has a ton of good stuff and a lot of good stuff coming out soon as well, I think. I always read like the Facebook posts of like what's new coming to Netflix in the next month. And I also just want to say that I like a variety of shows. I will watch pretty much anything as long as it interests me or piques my interest. So yeah. The first two shows are two shows that after making my first top 10 shows to watch on Netflix, I realized I probably should have added these in, even though I don't watch them on Netflix. So I have watched both of these shows from the first season starting on TV, and then they were added to Netflix later, but I still feel like these are two shows that you totally need to watch if you have not seen them, and Netflix has most of the seasons. First one is The Walking Dead. I am a huge fan of The Walking Dead. I have been since season 1. I feel like it's kind of a slower show, but that's why I kind of recommend watching it on Netflix versus watching it episode by episode on TV, because watching it episode by episode on TV, you are pretty bored because I feel like throughout a season only a few major things happen, but when you're able to sort of like binge watch it all at once, it's very, very entertaining. Of course, if you do not know what The Walking Dead is, it's basically about zombies and a group of people who are sort of not only battling zombies and like surviving and everything like that, but also battling other humans and other humans, alive humans. So it's really interesting to watch. I have always loved The Walking Dead. I have such a thing for Rick. He's pretty fantastic. But yeah, I totally love The Walking Dead, and if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it. And then the other show that I totally forgot about, but I've also always watched on TV since the first season, which is kind of crazy, and that is American Horror Story. So American Horror Story, I think the first 5 seasons are on Netflix. They haven't added the newest one yet, same with Walking Dead, but I've always been a pretty big fan of American Horror Story. Each season is set at a different place with different characters, so it's kind of interesting to see like what things they come up with. I'm sure a lot of you, if you follow anybody like on Twitter or anything like that, you've totally seen people retweet stuff or tweet stuff about American Horror Story and coming up with the new storylines for each season. Very, very interesting. I am super, super picky though when it comes to American Horror Story. I choose to watch that show because I want to be scared. Like I physically want them to like do jump scares and do things that actually will scare me. So some of the seasons I'm not a huge fan of. I'm actually only a pretty big fan of 3 of the 6 seasons, so 50-50. And that is the first season, which is Murder House. That's one of the best. It's kind of scary. It's definitely the best. Like I was gonna say it's probably the best, but it's definitely the best. The second season, Asylum, is also one of my favorites. I feel like that was very like kind of plot twisty and really kind of spooky. And then the most recent season, which actually isn't on Netflix unfortunately, but it should be going on soon, and I want to say though because it is over, and that is the My Roanoke Nightmare. I have such a thing for that one. I know not a lot of people liked it, but I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was very like spooky and scary, and it like, I don't know, I used to live next to the Croatan Forest. I know they say Croatoan on the show, it's Croatan. I used to live next to the Croatan Forest, so it's kind of interesting to me. But yeah, so those two are the two that I highly recommend, both on Netflix and off Netflix, but I still wanted to add them in. Okay, so my next list are 4 shows that are Netflix originals. I am a huge fan of the Netflix originals. I feel like they're so good. Like, they're just ridiculous. They have really no boundaries. They can kind of do whatever they want, and that's why I love them so much. The first is one I'm sure a ton of you have already watched and have already heard of, but of course I am also a huge fan of, and that is Stranger Things. I don't want to be one of those like hipsters that says they discovered Stranger Things before everyone else, but I kind of feel like I did, maybe. I don't know. So I was on Netflix, I was on the homepage one day, and I looked, and like the first thing that popped up was like a trailer for a show coming soon, and it looked kind of spooky, and I saw that it had Winona Ryder in it, and I'm a huge fan of Winona Ryder, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this trailer. And it was a trailer for Stranger Things, and I was like, okay, this looks cool, I'll watch it. And then of course the first day premiered, the first day when they put the whole entire season up, the first season, watched the whole thing in one day. I ended up going back and rewatching it by myself, and then I ended up going back and rewatching it with Brian, and I am obsessed. I feel like though a lot of people probably watched it on the first day, but I don't know, not a lot of people started talking about it till later. But Stranger Things is really, really great. There is only one season currently, but they are coming out with their second season this year, and I'm just ridiculously excited. It's very like Goonies, X-Files, just like kids and creepy stuff, but also really interesting, and I love it a lot. If you love Winona Ryder, you'll really like it. She's absolutely fantastic, and it's just really, really good. And again, if you are hiding under a rock and have not seen Stranger Things, I suggest it. The next one is a newer Netflix original that actually just came out last month, and of course I binge watched it, and I'm probably gonna rewatch it just because I feel like when I binge something I don't take in the full effect. I just go through it kind of as fast as I can. And there is also only one season of this, and it is Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. It's so good. So I read the books, I saw the first movie, and I really, 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 really loved it. I loved everything as a kid. I kind of only remember a few of the books. I don't really remember all of them, so I'm kind of excited to see where Netflix kind of takes it. So the first season is the first 4 books. They're each broken up into 2 parts. So the first 2 episodes are the first book, the third and fourth episodes, second book, so on and so forth. There's a lot of bigger names in the series, which is kind of cool to see. Neil Patrick Harris plays Count Olaf, and I'm probably going to be one of the few people that doesn't really, like, I love Neil Patrick Harris, but I'm just not a big fan of him as Count Olaf. I kind of preferred the Jim Carrey Count Olaf, just kind of saying, but I still think it's really good. I feel like Netflix kind of stuck to the books a lot more, which I really, really like, and I really love seeing my favorite books being put into like movies and shows. It makes me really happy. So A Series of Unfortunate Events, again, if you haven't watched it, you totally should. It's just great, and it's one of like the best production qualities that I've seen a Netflix original be. Like, it's fantastic. The next show is one that really speaks to my childhood, and when it was first announced, I like absolutely cried. I was so happy, and that is Fuller House. I was a huge Full House fan as a kid. I literally remember watching I think I've seen every single episode at least twice. I loved Full House. Even as an adult, when they would play it late at night, I would be super into it. Like, I just love Full House so much. And so when it was announced that they were going to be doing 1 season of the cast sort of all grown up in Fuller House, I was so on board for it, and now it's become such a big hit that they already have 2 seasons up, and I think they're actually working on their 3rd right now, which is pretty exciting. So I love Fuller House. Again, it just speaks to my childhood. It's so cheesy and corny, and like their jokes are just ridiculous, but I love it a lot, and it makes me really, really happy. It makes my heart pretty full, and I love Full House. So Fuller House is great. And then the last Netflix original actually wasn't originally a Netflix original. They just picked it up recently, and they have 3 seasons of it, and it is Black Mirror. So I was actually pretty hesitant to watch Black Mirror because I thought it was going to be kind of scary, and although I do sometimes like scary things, I was like, I don't really know, like I kind of want to like wait on it. But it was recommended to me a couple of times, so I was like, okay, maybe I'll try it. So I watched the first episode, and the first episode of the first season is just kind of like, I don't feel like a very good introduction to Black Mirror. It's probably one of the worst episodes in my opinion, but it's great. So each episode is its own storyline, its own characters. Everything is completely different for each episode, which is something I totally like. It's basically like the Twilight Zone for our generation. And also, by the way, Twilight Zone's on Netflix too, if you guys didn't know. So I really like Black Mirror. The first 2 seasons I think only have 3 episodes each, and then the 3rd season is where Netflix picked it up, so you can kind of tell the difference between it being on TV and then Netflix picking it up. But it's really good. It's not scary at all. It's basically about like technology and the future and like people, like it's so good. It's so good. So many episodes are just, I can't even describe it because I feel like the way I describe it is just gonna sound absolutely ridiculous. But my favorite episodes, if you want to just watch a couple episodes of Black Mirror, I'll give you my favorites. My first favorite is White Bear. White Bear is one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes. The first time I watched it, the first like 10-20 minutes, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm only watching this right now just to get through this episode. But the ending is what totally made the entire episode for me. It was so like plot twisty to me, and it just made everything so, like, it came into place, and it was just wonderful. Like, White Bear is totally one of my favorites. The other one, I think is called White Christmas, is one of the longer ones. I think it might be like an hour and a half. It's basically a movie, and that one's really good as well. White Christmas is good. San Junipero's really good. I like the one, I think it's called Player One, but it's about the video games. That's like the only one that's like slightly scary, but it's like a jump scare. That one's really great. A lot of them are really good. I like the one about the roaches and the military. That one's really good. A lot of like the newer season, the 3rd season is fantastic, but Black Mirror is so good. I could talk about Black Mirror with pretty much everyone. I've recommended it to pretty much everyone in my life. I love Black Mirror. Now on to 2 shows quickly that I'm actually currently watching, but I still wanted to mention. The first one is one that I have only seen a couple episodes of, but it is so good that I feel like it is almost crucial for me to put it in this video, and that is House. So I have been recommended House by so many people because I'm really into those like doctor kind of shows. Y'all know me, I'm into like weird stuff. Well, it's not weird, but I'm into like all sorts of stuff. But I started watching House. Like I said, I've only seen a couple of episodes, but I definitely know I'm gonna love it. I know I'm gonna binge it, and I want to put it in this video because who knows if I'm gonna make a part 3 in 2 years, 5 years, who knows. I want to put House in this video. So House is another one that I would like to recommend to you guys. Maybe we could watch it together. We can all talk about it. That would be cool. And the other show that I'm actually currently watching as well, but I'm in like the 7th season, almost the 8th season, so I feel like I'm pretty much in there enough to recommend it to you as well, and that is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Brian has recommended this show to me for years and years and years, and I've watched it here and there. I've seen a couple episodes every now and then, but it's just so ridiculously funny. I think it's actually still on TV. There might be in their 12th season, I think, but it's a really quick show to binge. The episodes are like 20 minutes. It's so funny. I love it. I just love Charlie. Like, Charlie is such a sweet little place in my heart. Charlie's so sweet. But yeah, I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's a great show. And the last 2 shows I have to mention to you guys, 2 of my all-time favorite shows. Like, literally hands down all-time favorite shows on Netflix in life. The first one is one that I actually binged on Netflix, and one that I've seen a lot of people have been really into lately, so if I'm the last person telling you need to watch this, you need to watch it because it's great, and that is Shameless. I love Shameless so much. Me and Brian binge watched it together, and we just fell in love with the show. It is still on TV. I think they just finished their 7th season. I think what it was, 7th or 6th? I think it was the 7th. I just love Shameless so much. It's such a good show. It's basically about a family of people just kind of struggling to keep their lives together, and I love it. Each character I kind of have like a love for. Some of them I really hate, but most of the characters I love. I have such a love for Kevin V. I have such a love for Lip and Mickey and, oh, what's his name? Mickey and Ian. I almost called him Cameron because that's his name in real life, but Mickey and Ian, I just love them so much. All of their characters just make me so happy, and I just love Shameless. It's such a good show. I feel like it's one of those shows that makes a lot of people really happy because there's so many like twists and stuff that are just really interesting. So love Shameless. And then the last show is like my all-time, probably my all-time favorite show. Yeah, I think out of every show I've ever seen, this is probably my all-time favorite, and it actually just recently I think got added to Netflix. I never watched it on Netflix, but because it was added to Netflix, I might rewatch it, and that is X-Files. I love X-Files so much. So much. I talk about it a lot to Brian. I feel like I bring up X-Files at least once or twice a week. Like, I just want to talk about it to somebody. Yeah, I love the X-Files. It's basically about the X-Files and the FBI, and they go and see like aliens and creatures, and it's just wonderful. And I love David Duchovny. He, like, oh my god, the first 3 seasons, he is like the most handsome man on the planet, and then he gets older, but oh my god, he is so attractive when he's younger. But I just love X-Files. I think it's one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm probably going to get an X-Files tattoo because I love it so much. But yeah, I just love the X-Files. Like, even just like trying to speak words about the X-Files, I'm just like, okay. But yeah, that is it for my top 10 Netflix shows part 2, I guess you could say. Again, if you haven't seen the first part, definitely check it out. I will have it as a card, and I will also put a link to it in the description. Again, I still stand by all of those shows as well. And again, watch these shows and let me know your opinions, because these shows are seriously some of my favorites, and I can't wait to watch 10 more shows. I have, like I said, a huge list of shows that I need to watch. So I need to start getting on that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next video.